I've got my pin that will attach here. And be about that long. I'm going to cut that off. And then I'm going to straighten it as much as possible. It doesn't really matter. We're going to straighten it again later on. I'm going to put a point on it. And after I put the point on it, then I'm going to need to, I'll do this off camera, I'm going to need to cut this down and make sure that it's nice and flat that will stick here. So I'm going to cut this down to about, about there. Yeah, that looks good. And then I'm going to make things easier for myself. I'm going to drill a little hole here, the diameter of this, so this will sit in there nice and I won't have to hold it. But the first thing I want to do is to put this component on. So with this component, we need to get a nice straight cut. I'm not going to be able to do it with this. Do it by hand. That's no biggie. So we want to trim that off. And I need my snips. Okay. And then we want to get a nice flat surface that we can put on there. So I'll use my grips here. And then with a file, file a nice level surface on it. Okay, now this will have to be held by a third arm. I'm never going to have this so it just sits perfectly. But we're solder that to this part here, and that's sticking up way too much, so we're going to have to go down quite a bit more. So again, I'm going to finish these two components up and bring you back when we're ready to solder them on. Alright, we're ready to solder the device that holds the pin, and most of this is really just very careful setup. So I have this with a third arm. My pin, I make sure my thing that holds the pin, I don't know what they call that. I want it in an angle from where I'm going to be putting the pin, which is down here. And I add a little bit of solder. Right to the spot. It's already been fluxed. And apply the heat evenly over the whole piece. Even heating up that's a huge heat sink. Alright, there you go. Let me put that in the pickle, get ready for the next step of putting the pin in. What I'm going to do off camera is I'm going to finish making this a sharper point, and I'm also going to drill a hole into our branch so that it makes it a little bit easier to solder. So I'll get back to you when that's done. Alright, we got it set up. I've drilled a hole into this portion. I hope you can see that. Just a small hole, doesn't go all the way through. And That's the same diameter as this, so I can stick this pin into the hole. And we should be good to go. Okay. Oh, I better add some solder. This one's a little trickier because you want to be careful of your pin. It could very easily just melt if you're not careful. Don't worry that it moved that way. We can, once it's soldered in there, we can adjust it. It's what I've always said, concentrate on the big parts, the bigger pieces of silver. They need to be given a lot more time to heat up. And this pin will heat up in a second. It actually will melt in a second too if you're not careful. There we go. There we got it there. Okay. So, see, don't worry again, we'll correct that, and we'll probably need to tumble it to harden it up so it's at least spring hard. I'm gonna put it back in the pickle, and I'll be back to you when it's ready. Okay, so there we are out of the pickle. There's our pin. Attaches nicely. Comes back. See, it doesn't spring back, so we have to make a pretty big decision right now. Now, what you do is you put it in a tumbler, a steel shot tumbler, and that really doesn't harden up most things, but very, very, very surface things like this pin, it will harden that up and bring it back to a spring hard state. So it will bounce back and forth and work like a nice pin. The problem with doing that now is that it also will affect somewhat of the hardness of the bezel itself. And that will make it harder to push that over on our bird. But that's just something we have to deal with because we want a nice pin that works properly when somebody is using it. So I'm going to put this in the tumbler, and when that's done, that takes quite a few hours to get it nice and spring hard, and after that has occurred, I'll be back to put the stone in and set it. So I'll see you then. Okay, so I actually thought a better way of making, tumbling doesn't really, it polishes up, and I did do it a little bit, and it does polish it. It gives it a nice shiny surface, which is nice. But another way of hardening up your sterling silver, and to be careful with this, is just burnishing it. So use a burnisher, put it on it. I'm putting it on my metal block here. I know I'm in the way, but it's hard not to be. And then just burnishing it by rubbing it. Try not to do that or that. And that will make it springy again. So there you go. Bring it down, it springs up to the holder, so it's all ready. So the next part is to put the stone in and set it. So putting it in and setting it is, I'm going to have to set up something that I can hold it, because now of all these things like the the pin in the back, they all get in your way of actually getting leverage so that you can set it, really push it down, push the bezel over the stone. So there it is, and I'm going to set up some sort of device, maybe my my bench vise, and I'll be back when I have that set up. Okay? Okay, so I have it set up on this bench vise. Carefully, you don't want to distort your pin in any way, and at least it gives me a nice surface so that I can put some pressure on it, so I can turn down the bezel to hold the stone in place. And now I'm going to start out with what I always do with these plastic sort of spoons. One's a fork, one's a spoon. And slowly go around and start to push over the bezel. See that? Now, with these irregular stones, you have to be, careful that you're being consistent around the whole piece, and you're going to get some spots, or you can get some spots like I have here. It's just hard for me to show you right now, where you have to be careful. Alright, so that little spot, and right, the other spot that's going to be tough is the beak. So what would I give you for a suggestion on doing beaks? And, well, you're not going to be doing beaks all the time. My suggestion is, you don't necessarily need to be pushing over everything. You can let the beak sort of sit a little bit proud, so it's not what one would consider the perfect bezel, but it won't. Actually, it will look nice. And we can later on take that down a bit with a white wheel carefully if we don't like the look of it. And I might do that. But I'll show you what I mean when I'm pretty much done here. This is a difficult one because you gotta be careful. You don't want to put, like I said, I'm holding it by the pin. I don't want to disrupt the pin. So let me take this out. Okay, so here's the pin set. The back. Now, I do have a problem with this pin right now, and I'm going to have to work on it. I don't think I have time in this video to do that. Maybe I will and show you the finished product, but let me see if you're seeing it. There's two things that I don't like. One, I don't like the way this looks right here on this part of the bezel. I need to take a white wheel, and I'll show you what that is, and sort of bring that down so that I can bring that over. That's just, it's very hard with stones that are different thicknesses, different shapes. It's very hard to get it right, get it perfect. But I don't like that. I'm not sure. There's also this right at the beak. I'm not sure I don't like that. I'm going to bring it down a little bit again with a white wheel, but I like the way it looks. I just worry that you don't want somebody wearing this pin and this collects dirt, and that's what will happen. You'll collect little dust and stuff like that in there, and over time it won't look good. So let's take, this is a white wheel. Oops, can you see that? Where am I? Let's zoom out a little bit. This is a white wheel. I use it on my flex shaft. And what I do is very carefully just grind down this, and be very careful, sort of hold your finger over the stone itself so you don't get anywhere near that. And we're just trying to take off a little bit. Now, I could try to show you how I do that, but I have a feeling all you'll be seeing is my fingers. Let's see, so just to give you an idea, yeah, that's bringing it down. It's slow, and you need to be very careful when you're doing this, but in the end, it's what needs to be done. So you have to do it. Okay. Okay, so that needs some more work. And we have to work on this part down here. So I'm going to go again off camera, and I'll bring it back when it's totally done, the finished product. This part is just, you just have to take your time, use your white wheel. If you need to, sometimes you get one of these diamond file bits that you can shape your white wheel. Sometimes you want it to be rounder, or you want it to have like just a knife edge on it. There's a lot of different shapes that you need. That's for different applications. So I'll be back. Okay, so here it is, all done. Our little bird on a branch pin. There's the back. Our pin pops up, holds in nice in place. And you want to do with the pin, you can't go straight across or just up here. You might be able to go just up here, but if you go straight across, this thing will be top heavy and it won't sit nice. But this covers the whole pin, and that will sit really nice wherever you pin it onto a sweater or coat or whatever you do. And so there you have it. Challenge here, of course, is these real irregular shaped stones and bezel setting them. You know, you could, other way you would do it is prong set it, which would make it a bit easier to do, but wouldn't look, I don't think it would look as nice. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope I see you again. Bye.